All right, I'm going to start out with this project by building the chip trays. Essentially, it's similar to what I did with my wife's jewelry box. You're just building trays with separators. So I've got an 1/8 inch kerf here, providing 5 columns. These kerfs are 1 3/4 sequentially moved over, and then the last one is just a cutoff. So that's how that's going to go in there, like that. The other thing I need to determine, well, I shouldn't say the other thing I need to determine. Once these are in place, I'm going to need to determine how wide a divider I need, and then I'll determine my side height as well. So 5 divisions, each division holding 25 chips, and it looks like I could probably get away with maybe a 1/4 inch divider running this way, and I'm thinking that I'll build 1/4 inch sides as well. An update on my progress here so far. I've got a grid cut into my tray bottom. You can see that, and that holds the separators. They're cut long for a reason. I'm going to take my sides, backs, and fronts. They've got a slight miter or slight groove cut in them, and this will be the best way to show you. You can see the little tiny dado I've got in there. So that helps square things up when it's put on the piece. So I'm just going to do miter cuts, 45s, and make my trays first, and then fit the separators inside. I'm not gonna dado or cut these out. I'm just gonna wedge or pressure fit, friction fit these pieces inside the frame. All right, in the interest of full disclosure here, I have to make new trays. These 2 slots are too tight because I did not allow for the rabbet on both ends. So when I go to drop the chips in, put this up a little higher here, it hits. The chips will not fit, just barely, but it's a 1/16 of an inch. So the new trays I made were 1/8 inch wider, and then the correction comes on this end, a 1/16 of an inch, then go 1 3/4 with each of my cuts, and then it'll be naturally longer on the last end. So let me show you how I'm adjusting my setup here. So after cutting my final width, I left my fence alone, brought in my stop, set my fence to the stop this length, jogged it over, then dropped in a 1/16 inch drill bit here to move it over even a little further, or that little piece I need. So once I get done, make sure that's locked in. Once I get done with this cut, I will we can take this out now, I guess, and then make this zero, which I can do right now. And then just jog over this 1 3/4 every time. And now you can see that difference right there. That's all it took. Glad I caught it before I got too carried away. I got my setup here. These plywood bottoms are just a little bit wonky, I guess, but I've got them clamped in this with this block so that I can get my piece through here. And you can see when I bring these two together, let me zoom in on this corner. I hope you can see this. And just a shade open right there, if you can see that little dark spot. Well, you can probably see it better. Just a hair open on the bottom. Now, because I made my pieces a little bit wider, or longer I should say, I do not have a lot to work with here. I've got maybe a 1/16 of an inch to work with. So I've got to be careful. I'm going to start with this one and just make sure I get this trued up. I've got plenty of room on the side pieces, so I can keep taking material off of those without too much worry. So let me shoot this one and we'll see how it turns out here. Looks really good. I don't think you even need to touch that other one. Zoom back in here. Oh, and incidentally, I've got one of my old bases cut a little narrower in all four directions, or both directions, so that when I put this on there, I don't have any interference from the bench or the workpiece. And that fit looks really nice to me. So it'll just be doing this over and over again until I get the exact fit I want, and then we'll glue it together. Okay, this took a little while, but I've got my method down, and I'm happy with this. So it's just tape right now. Pretty nice fit. With some glue and some clamps, this will come together nicely. So I'll make the other two trays. I'm not sure I'm going to need, I don't need 3 trays, but I'll probably make a spare anyway, just in case we want to get more chips. Okay, with a little patience, I got the 3 bottoms fitted to the sides. And I will say this, I kind of was going about this all wrong, trying to work from the top side when I should have been working from this side, because you can clearly see the miters as you're putting the joint together, where on the other side I was dealing with the rabbet and trying to make things work that way. This is much easier. Use this corner as your reference for where the miters meet, and you're much better off. After working on the first one, these other 2 went so much quicker when I flipped the boxes over and used that method instead. So now I need to take the inside and cut these to length. So I think for me the thing to do would be to work with this centerpiece first and get it close. And what I'll do is take the sides off and put this in there and get a couple of pencil marks of where the approximate cuts need to be made. Lop those off. Do the same with these, and then just using my shooting board to sneak up on those cuts as well. So now I put the frame back on and go to fit these one at a time, starting with the middle piece first. What I ended up doing was making pencil marks around where the frame rabbet came into the field here. So I'm going to go till I just cover that line. And when I put this one in here, I've got to make sure I keep this oriented the correct way. I can see that I'm very close there, and I've got a little bit more to go on this end. So I'm going to start with this top one first, a couple 3 strokes. That looks pretty good. You come down here, and this will take probably a few more than maybe 5. I'll try 4 first. Yeah, 1 more. Right, I'm gonna work with that, or try that anyway. So I'll just work my way up the ladder. We'll come back and put it together and see how it looks.